We welcome everyone joining us today from around the world for the 10th webinar in our Multiverse webinar series. Today's webinar is on using City Theatrical test tools to improve wireless DMX. I'm Harrison Honholt of City Theatrical, and I'll be your presenter today. If you've watched all 9 of our previous webinars, you know a lot about wireless DMX and RDM already. If you haven't seen our webinars, and if you want to learn about the latest technology and the skills needed to work on the professional level, I urge you to watch those webinars on our website or on YouTube. On the Multiverse pages of our website, you'll also find loads of other useful information about how to use wireless DMX and RDM, such as case studies, white papers, and user manuals. If you have any questions today, please type them into the Q&A box at the top of your screen. You may need to click the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen to open that Q&A box. Be sure to address your questions to all panelists. We have a great gift for one of you today as a thank you for attending. Our friend, John Huntington, has written a new book called Introduction to Show Networking. It covers the basics of how Ethernet networks provide a platform for any kind of show presented live for an audience. One lucky attendee will get a copy of John's new book just for being on the webinar today. We'll reach in the fishbowl and pick out a name, and it is Brian Carter. Congratulations, Brian. We'll contact you by email and make arrangements to get you John's book. Before we get started today, here's a short public service announcement on behalf of ESTA's Behind the Scenes organization. The Behind the Scenes Mental Health and Suicide Prevention Initiative is providing tools and resources specifically for entertainment industry workers at www.btshelp.org/mental health, including those shown here. Even without the uncertainties of life in a pandemic, the unique environment and stresses of working in the entertainment industry are extremely challenging. It's critical to make sure you and those you care about stay healthy, mentally, emotionally, and physically. For more information, please visit www.btshelp.org/mental health. We'll be discussing some specialized City Theatrical test tools today and how they can help you improve the performance of your wireless DMX. They can be used with any brand of wireless DMX, but they work particularly well with our Multiverse wireless DMX and RDM, and have some features built in specifically for Multiverse. We have a lot to get through today, so let's get started. If you work in the lighting world, you know how confusing it can be to troubleshoot DMX. Problems can exist in the lighting controller, the patch, the cues, the cable, gateways, splitters, mergers, the AC power line feeding the fixture's DMX address, its personality, its firmware version, and other mysterious places. When we add wireless DMX into this, it adds another layer of complexity for the technician. Troubleshooting methods like swapping gear or arbitrarily changing settings are slow and produce unreliable results. If these are the methods you are using, we'll be showing you some tools today that will make this significantly faster and will bring a lot more certainty to you. The tools we discuss today will give you confidence to face any wireless or wired DMX or RDM troubleshooting challenge. Wireless DMX is a great tool to speed up your lighting installation and to allow some lighting setups that would not be possible with wires, such as across a highway or a river, or in moving scenery. If you've set up wireless DMX systems, you have undoubtedly plugged them in and accepted the default settings, and your system probably worked really well. But you may have occasionally set up your system in your usual way and had bad results, such as running a light cue and the lights didn't change, or they changed much later than they should have. Without some basic knowledge and a few simple test tools, you're lost. It wasn't too long ago that test tools for wireless DMX were uncommon and expensive. Systems were set up and users hoped they work. When they didn't work, they often called City Theatrical and we tried to talk them through a solution. Today, we have excellent test tools that are available to everyone. In this webinar, we'll explore 2 products, the DMX-Cat multifunction test tool and the RadioScan frequency analyzer. They're easy to use, and they can improve your wireless DMX broadcast substantially. Their cost puts them well within reach of anyone who makes their living in professional lighting. We developed DMX-CAT because we needed an affordable, easy to use DMX and RDM test tool that we could always carry with us. And while frequency analyzers existed, some were too expensive for most technicians, and some that were affordable didn't provide all the information that we needed, and none of them were geared toward wireless DMX. So we developed RadioScan to meet our needs in the entertainment technology world. Let's begin to explore RadioScan. The RadioScan frequency analyzer allows you to visualize the radio energy in the spectrum around you. Once you are able to see where the radio energy is, you can make an informed decision about the best settings for your wireless DMX broadcast. RadioScan works hand in hand with our Multiverse Wireless DMX products to guide you to the best settings to use. And I'll show you how in this webinar. Let's review a few terms that you've heard over and over, but possibly have never quite understood. Wavelength is simply the length of one complete radio wave. Electromagnetic waves can be very large or very small. The ones we use in wireless DMX are a few inches long. Frequency is a measure of how many times that radio wave passes a single point in 1 second, also known as cycles per second, or hertz, named for Heinrich Hertz, a pioneer in the electrical field. Frequency can also be large or small, and is in fact inversely proportional to wavelength. The frequencies we use in wireless DMX are very large, expressed in megahertz or gigahertz. This is another way of saying millions or billions of cycles per second. Amplitude is the height or signal strength of the radio wave. Density is the percentage of time a specific amplitude of radio energy was measured on a specific frequency during a specific time period. Density helps us understand the difference between a signal that appears very briefly and then is gone, and a signal that appears over and over again in one spot. The density of the signals in the area in which you are broadcasting is usually our greatest concern. The wireless DMX radio signals we are discussing today are in the unlicensed ISM or industrial, scientific, and medical band. The first band is commonly called 2.4 gigahertz, and the frequencies in it range from 2.4 to 2.483 gigahertz. Again, giga is a prefix meaning billion, so these waves have a frequency of around 2.4 billion hertz. The second unlicensed band of interest to us is 900 megahertz, which ranges from 902 to 928 megahertz. And again, mega is a prefix that means millions. So these waves have a frequency of just over 900 million hertz. Both of these bands are in common use in North America, and City Theatrical uses both to broadcast wireless DMX. The 2.4 gigahertz band generally can carry more data, while the 900 megahertz band can travel greater distances and can pass through objects better. It is important to note that while the 2.4 gigahertz band is used in much of the world for unlicensed use, the 900 megahertz band is for unlicensed use only in North America. And if you are listening today from outside North America, it won't be usable for you. Today we'll look at how RadioScan can help you visualize the radio energy in the spectrum around you, how you can use that data to understand the conditions in your area, and how you can use what you have learned to make an informed decision about the best settings for your own wireless DMX broadcast. This only takes a few minutes to do, but it plays a large part in the success of your broadcast. Let's learn how to set up the RadioScan hardware and how to run the software. The hardware dongle with an antenna simply plugs into a USB port on your computer. A laptop is most useful since you may want to be able to move around. After you've loaded the free software from the CTI website, start the program, and your screen will look like this. Frequency is shown on the x-axis across the bottom of the screen, and Wi-Fi channels are shown on the x-axis across the top of the screen. Amplitude is shown on the y-axis on the left of the screen. A 2.4 gigahertz scan starts automatically when the program is opened and a RadioScan dongle is found. RadioScan will find and identify Wi-Fi networks and will show their SSIDs or service set identifiers. It will also find any other sources of radio energy in the selected band, in this case 2.4 gigahertz, such as frequency hopping wireless DMX, wireless headsets, microwave ovens, baby monitors, or video cameras. These sources of radio energy do not have SSIDs and are harder to identify, but with some detective work, it is often possible to do so. And you can always find your own signal by toggling your equipment on and off and noting the change in radiation patterns. Here are the controls at the top of the screen. The Connect button connects the RadioScan dongle to the RadioScan program. The Disconnect button disconnects it. The Open button opens a saved RadioScan recording. The Help button provides several features, including a link to the RadioScan product manual, a link to the City Theatrical website, a path to begin a firmware update, and RadioScan license information. The Quit button quits the RadioScan software program. The 2.4 gigahertz button selects the 2.40 to 2.483 gigahertz portion of the spectrum. The 900 megahertz button selects the 902 to 928 megahertz portion of the spectrum to scan. The Snapshot button takes a snapshot of the current screen and saves it as a .png file. You don't need to stop the scan to take a snapshot. The Save button saves a recording of the current scan and prompts for a location to save. The scan does not need to stop for saving. The spectrogram view / waterfall view toggles between spectrogram view and waterfall view of spectrum scan. We'll elaborate on these in a moment. The Multiverse Show IDs button opens a table that shows the relationship of multiverse show IDs to the spectrum and helps to choose the optimum area of the band on which to broadcast. We will elaborate on this in greater detail in a few moments. The Show Wi-Fi button shows location of Wi-Fi networks nearby and identifies their Wi-Fi signal, SSID, which is the name of the network, and RSSI, which is the network's current signal strength. This button allows the graphical depiction of these networks to be toggled on and off. The Wi-Fi list displays a table of Wi-Fi networks found. At the bottom of the screen, the Scan button starts a new scan. Stop button stops a scan and prompts to save. The lower right corner of the screen shows both the elapsed time and clock time of the current scan or the playback of a recorded scan. The scan bar tracks the course of the scan across the screen. It first appears after 2 minutes because both the spectrogram and waterfall views display an average of the previous 2 minutes of data. The scan can be rewound to view previous events by pulling the scan bar to the left. The scan will continue to record, and the scan resumes by pulling it back to the right. The cursor shows information as you move it around the screen. In spectrogram view, the crosshairs of the cursor show the frequency across the x-axis, the amplitude of the point where the cursor is on the y-axis, the density of that frequency, the current amplitude reading of that frequency, the average and maximum amplitudes over the previous 2 minutes for that frequency. The default view of the RadioScan program is the spectrogram view. The x-axis shows the frequency and the y-axis represents the amplitude of the radio energy of those frequencies. Although the spectrogram is two-dimensional, color provides a third dimension of analysis. The color of the spectrogram describes the density of radio energy on each frequency. We can describe density as the percentage of time a specific amplitude of radio energy was measured on a specific frequency during the immediately preceding 2-minute period. Density can be expressed as colors like the chart on the upper right of the screen. Density is an important tool in our analysis. Blue designates a radio signal of short duration, like a frequency hopping radio, and means the frequency has been utilized less than 6.25% of the time during the last 2 minutes. This may signify a radio signal of high amplitude, but very short duration, like wireless DMX. Cyan designates the frequency was used slightly more of the time, with green, yellow, and orange progressing to higher usages over time until reaching red, which shows the frequency was used more than 50% of the time over the previous 2 minutes. This is a rolling 2-minute calculation that updates automatically as conditions change. Generally, when looking for a suitable place to put a broadcast, look for areas with more blue and less red. An area of high amplitude and high density should be avoided. An area of low amplitude and high density represents a noise floor that your signal would need to overcome to be successful. Spectrogram view often changes over time. By grabbing the scan bar at the bottom of the screen, you can scroll back through your scan to quickly see changes in the environment. This is valuable in diagnosing the source of broadcast problems. Notes can be added in spectrogram view. Place your cursor at the spot you want to add a note anywhere on the screen and left-click your mouse. Enter a note of unlimited length. Click OK, and the note will be pinned to the screen, starting at the point of your mouse click. Multiple notes can be added this way at various locations on the screen. Left-click on an existing note to edit, right-click on an existing note to delete. If a recording of the scan is saved, the note will appear in the entire recording. Screenshots like this one can be saved and emailed to colleagues for sharing information about spectrum use. In this view, we've labeled areas of the spectrum that are mission critical. Waterfall view gives a different look at radio energy. The x-axis again represents frequency, while the y-axis represents time, scrolling down in real time and showing the previous 2 minutes on the screen. Each mark on the screen represents radio energy on a given frequency at a particular moment in time. The amplitude of the radio signal is denoted by its color, with blue representing low amplitude signals and red representing high amplitude signals. Waterfall view uses actual clock time, adjusted automatically for your location, and allows you to roll back time to see the moment a device is turned on or off. This can help track down the source of interference. The Multiverse IDs feature is for users of City Theatrical's Multiverse Wireless DMX and will define the show IDs that may be selected for various areas of the band, either 2.4 GHz or 900 MHz. Multiverse show IDs are a descriptive number that designates several important items. This show ID chart helps explain it graphically by showing how the show ID number is constructed. We've described this in many of our previous 9 webinars, so I won't go deeply into it today. Watch our other webinars or see any of our Multiverse user manuals for more information on show IDs. When the Multiverse show IDs button is selected, a table appears on the right side of the screen. The horizontal x-axis of the table shows the number of universes that a show ID can carry, and the vertical y-axis of the table shows the relative position in the band where the broadcast will be. In the table, we can see that show ID 24340 is limited to the max area of the 2.4 GHz spectrum, and it can carry 5 universes of data. Hovering over each individual show ID in the table reveals another smaller table below the main table with more information, including the exact frequency and the potential range. Additionally, when hovering over a show ID, an overlay will appear over the scan that shows the portion of the band that the broadcast will reach while using the selected show ID. Here, show ID 24310 has been selected, and the light green overlay shows the low band selection that will avoid the interference in the upper end of the band. Clicking on any show ID button in the table will lock the overlay to the screen where it will appear in all recordings and screenshots. RadioScan allows the Multiverse user to find the optimum area of the chosen band on which to broadcast and directs him or her in how to best set up their Multiverse gear. This becomes an important part of the user's broadcast plan and can be documented by using the snapshot and notes features and submitted by email to your colleagues on the production, or to a venue's spectrum manager if required, or just used as a method of record keeping for the production. When using RadioScan, we can have confidence in our broadcast working well. Contrast that to setting up your gear without having seen the spectrum activity around you, not knowing the challenges you may be facing, and just hoping that it will work. Remember, hope is not a strategy. The next step would be to set up our Multiverse transmitter or Multiverse node acting as a transmitter, and our Multiverse nodes, Multiverse studios, or Multiverse show babies acting as receivers to the show IDs we choose, then do a test broadcast, and to verify our signal quality, either visually on the nodes or by RDM using our DMXCAT multifunction test tool. We'll explore DMX-CAT in the second half of today's webinar. These are wireless DMX best practices that should be done on every important installation. They only take a few minutes to do and will give you confidence in achieving a good broadcast. When we are using Multiverse nodes or Multiverse Studios as receivers in North America, we can move our broadcast over to the 900 MHz band. In this case, I have chosen show ID 9300, which can broadcast 4 universes and uses the full band. There is radio activity shown here in the 900 MHz band, but it is minor, and show ID 9300 is a good choice for our broadcast. Using this strategy in North America is often the best alternative to fighting a crowded spectrum. I hope you have seen how helpful RadioScan can be for you in setting up your wireless DMX, no matter what brand of wireless DMX you use. The US list price of RadioScan is $380, but check with your local City Theatrical dealer for exact pricing in your area. Some frequency analyzers on the market cost more and some cost less, but none of them have the unique features aimed at optimizing your wireless DMX broadcasts that RadioScan has. The second test tool to discuss today is our DMX-CAT multifunction test tool. By the way, CAT in the DMX-CAT name is an acronym for Control, Analyze, and Test. DMX-CAT is a hardware dongle and a free app you download from the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, or Amazon App Store. It allows anyone to have a tool they can carry with them at all times that enables them to turn on, test, troubleshoot, and control any DMX lighting fixture. It links to a database of worldwide lighting fixtures and can load the exact controls to operate any of those fixtures. And it contains a powerful RDM controller. Since it is app-based, we're able to constantly update its features and add useful new functions. DMX-CAT is handy for troubleshooting wireless DMX, but can be used for controlling, analyzing, and testing any DMX or RDM device. It can control one device by plugging directly into it, or it can control many devices, up to 512 total DMX slots or one universe, by plugging into a DMX line feeding a pipe or truss. If you plug it into a wireless DMX transmitter, it can control all of the lighting fixtures on all of the receivers of that system. And if your fixtures and wireless DMX system utilize RDM, like our Multiverse wireless DMX products, then your fixtures can report back to you, and you can use your DMX-CAT to set up and configure your receivers and your fixtures. At City Theatrical, we like DMX-CAT and RDM so much that we built a DMX-CAT into our Multiverse transmitter. When you connect it from your DMX-CAT app, you'll see an additional icon on your screen. All of the Multiverse transmitter setup and configuration functions happen through that icon, and from that point on, out to the receivers and fixtures. It performs just like the DMX-CAT dongle I've been describing. That DMX-CAT comes free, built into the Multiverse transmitter, and it gives you the ability to reach multiple universes that are connected by your lighting system. It's still great to have your DMX-CAT dongle in your pocket to plug in for troubleshooting individual fixtures or portions of your system. Let's first look at a general overview of DMX-CAT. Then we'll look deeper into some specific ways to use it for troubleshooting wireless DMX. The first app we developed for DMX-CAT is a DMX controller. The user can choose whether to use an interface with 512 sliders or a console-type keypad for entry of levels, and it's easy to switch back and forth between those two choices. The user can also choose whether the scale is read 0 to 100% or 0 to 255, and again, that is easily changed. If you have a simple DMX device with one or just a few DMX slots in its personality, this is a simple and effective way to turn it on to test it. If you have several DMX devices connected together, you can control them all, and you can set and save simple presets, name them, and retrieve them. DMX-CAT is not meant to be a lighting console, and you can't set timings for the playback of these presets. In a wireless system, if you plugged your DMX-CAT into a Showbaby or Multiverse node used as a transmitter, you would gain control over any fixture connected to any of your receivers, and you could change levels or troubleshoot these fixtures without using a lighting console. When lighting fixtures get more complicated, like a moving light or even some LED PARs, pushing up sliders is not an effective way to control them. even if you have taken the time to look up and print out the fixture's DMX map. For these more complicated fixtures, we developed a fixture controller app, linked to a database of lighting fixtures and their various personalities. This works very much like patching a lighting console and loads an accurate representation of the controls it takes to operate any fixture and any of its personalities. First, look up your fixture's manufacturer. Then choose the fixture type, the exact fixture, the fixture's personality that you want to use, and the starting DMX address. You can then save it as a favorite, and you don't have to look it up again. When you load the fixture, the exact user interface for that fixture and the personality you choose is loaded just like you see here. We constantly maintain this database and are always adding more fixtures to it. But if for some reason the fixture you want is not there, there's a personality editor, and it's easy to add a fixture yourself. My favorite DMXCAT app is the RDM controller. It'll do what we just described for the fixture controller, but it does it automatically. Selecting the RDM app will read a fixture's RDM parameters, load the controls for, and control any RDM fixture in our database. There's a direct link for any new fixture that you may encounter that is not yet in the database, and within a day or two, it will be added. You can also access the RDM features such as DMX address, sensors, personalities, and anything else your fixture's manufacturer has included in the fixture. This can be incredibly useful for you and can make troubleshooting easier by not having to be right next to a fixture to make a change to it. The first time you save a trip up to the truss to change a DMX address, you'll understand what I mean. Let's look at a simple wireless DMX rig with a transmitter, a receiver, and a lighting fixture. I'm using a Multiverse node as my transmitter, a Multiverse Studio receiver as my receiver, and a Mac Aura as my lighting fixture. I'll do some troubleshooting on the simple wireless rig, but the concepts are the same no matter how large your rig is. The test rig we use here at City Theatrical has 400 receivers in it. And remember, with my DMXCAT, I can walk around with the app on my phone and do this troubleshooting from anywhere on the stage or set, as long as I am within about 50 feet of my DMXCAT dongle, wherever it is plugged into the DMX chain. My fixtures can be much further away from my transmitter, up to 300 feet or 1,500 feet outdoors. With my DMXCAT plugged into the transmitter, this is what I see when I do an RDM discovery. Here are the 3 devices in our system as seen in RDM. From top to bottom, I have a Multiverse node, which is my transmitter, a Multiverse Studio, which is my receiver, and a Mac Aura, my lighting fixture, set on DMX address 1. I can make some simple changes using my DMXCAT while I walk around the stage. All of the device labels are still on the defaults, so I'll change them to something more informative. Let's say I'm working in Studio 19 this week. I can change the label on my transmitter to Studio 19TX so it is easily identifiable. My receiver is on truss number 1, so I'll rename it Truss 1 RX, and I'll relabel my Mac Aura as Truss 1 number 5, which is its location on that truss. All of the changes are quickly made directly on the main RDM discovery screen of the Multiverse node transmitter. From that screen, I can drill deeper into my Mac Aura and make additional changes there and see some other RDM feedback. I can change the DMX address to 112 and change the personality to standard 14 channel. Now I've gotten the system set to how I want it to run and labeled so everything is easy to identify. If I select my receiver in RDM and do an RDM discovery, I can check my signal quality sensors. This is one of the best tools for troubleshooting your system. If your signal quality is high, you'll have a successful connection. Here we see excellent signal quality at 100%, so we know we are doing really well. If we had more receivers, we could check each of them this way, and I could do that to start every day to make sure conditions have not changed. In that same center screen, I can scroll down to check the charge on the battery of my Multiverse Studio receiver. It's about 73%. And since the Multiverse Studio battery lasts 20 hours on a charge, I have plenty of battery life left. Remember, I'm doing all of this from my phone without being anywhere near the devices. You won't use all of these troubleshooting techniques every day, but you'll soon learn how they can make your job easier when you need them. From my main RDM Discovery screen in my transmitter, I can click on the DMX icon of the Mac Aura. That will load the controls of my Mac Aura just as I have set it up, and I can turn on and test the fixture. There's a 3-button menu in the upper right corner of the screen that shows some other useful items. I can click on Fixture Manual and it will take me right to the Mac Aura manual, or I can go to the Martin website. I can also send an email directly to City Theatrical from this menu to ask a question, make a suggestion, or report a bug. DMXCAT has a sophisticated DMX tester built in. These were once rare and expensive, but now with DMXCAT, you can always have one in your pocket while you're working. The DMX Tester app helps you do 4 DMX analysis tasks. First, analyze the DMX stream to see if your controller is outputting DMX correctly. You can transmit DMX with specified parameters to see if your fixture is having trouble interpreting your lighting controller's commands. View the levels in a DMX line to see if you are actually receiving DMX. And it has a flicker finder to help you find intermittent problems on the DMX line. These are all useful features for troubleshooting, but the one you may use the most is View Levels, which allows you to view the levels in a DMX line. Picture yourself trying to troubleshoot a moving light that is not working. First, is it on? Yes. The indicator lights are lit. Next, is it receiving DMX? Yes, the DMX present light is on, but the lighting console operator can't get it to turn on. At this point, you can plug in your DMXCAT directly into the fixture and take command of it to verify the fixture works properly. If it does, what then? Is it receiving the correct DMX values to make it operate? DMXCAT comes with a 5-pin male-to-male turnaround, so you can plug it into a DMX line and read the levels in the line. That allows you to quickly see if the correct values are being received by the moving light. In this case, probably not, and you can easily confirm that it's a patch or queuing problem. How would you do that without a DMXCAT? DMXCAT also has a dip switch calculator, and in the Android version only, a simple 2.4 gigahertz spectrum analyzer and a simple light meter. All DMXCATs have a flashlight built in and a finder that beeps loudly and blinks the flashlight to help you find it if you misplace it. We developed the DMXCAT because we needed it, and we felt everyone else did too, and there was nothing else like it. We gained a US patent for its unique features. The list price of the DMXCAT is $410. We're coming to the end of our webinar today on using City Theatrical test tools to improve your wireless DMX broadcast. Using a radio scan frequency analyzer can open up new worlds for you in wireless DMX and can give you a deeper understanding of your broadcast. And using a DMXCAT multifunction test tool can help you troubleshoot both wired and wireless DMX like a pro. Once you've used these tools, you'll never want to step foot on stage or studio without them. I'm also proud to say that both RadioScan and DMXCAT and all of our innovative wireless DMX technology was designed, developed, and is manufactured in the US by our highly skilled engineers and craftspeople in our Carlsbad, New Jersey factory. We have time for some questions on RadioScan or DMXCAT or about anything else that you have seen in our webinar series. So let's see if any have arrived yet. Yes. One says, y'all are the best. Well, thank you, Clifford. Kenneth Young, how come the Mac version does not show Wi-Fi names like the last slide? There is a security setting on your Mac that you need to allow it to access the Wi-Fi card on the computer on your Mac. So if you can't find that, give us a call. We can help walk you through that. Same thing with the Wi-Fi list. Once you allow the app to access it, I think it's under security. I'm not 100% sure, but that should be where it is. Can the DMXCAT work on a tablet or iPad? Also, one of the slides showed temperature in C, but can it be set to F? So yes, it can be used on a tablet or iPad. A lot of people actually like using the Amazon Fire tablets since they're relatively inexpensive and small. I believe the temperature is set by what the manufacturer has set it as, the fixture manufacturer. I need to confirm that, but I believe it'll be set by the fixture manufacturer. Any future development on the analyzer and lux meter in iOS devices? No, actually, that is a Apple thing. They will not allow their API does not allow us to access those pieces of hardware on the phone. So yeah. Can radio scan be used to detect Bluetooth? Yes, Bluetooth is in 2.4, so it will be able to see that. Is there a good way to remotely deploy USB radio scan on stage while monitoring in a booth? So there are USB extensions that you could use. Might be better to use one that is powered, but you could always use an extension if you want to put it outside of the booth and keep your laptop inside. Does DMX-Cat work with CRMX? Yes, so the DMX-Cat just outputs DMX and RDM. So anything that can take a DMX and or RDM signal, it will work with it. Is this a recording? Yes, it is. We've talked about the Apple Light Meter. The DMX-Cat, how is it powered? It is powered with a battery that is built into it, and it is rechargeable. Let's see, we've got another one here. You mentioned that I can share radio scan recordings. Does the person I share them with need to have purchased a radio scanner? Nope, anyone can download it and replay any recording that you send them. And if you take a snapshot, that's just a .png file. So that can be sent to anyone. They don't need the program. Can I make a call while using DMX-Cat? Yes, you can. I do most of my troubleshooting with people that are using the phone that's controlling their DMX-Cat while they're calling me. I have a fixture who does not know what their fixture DMX numbers are. Can the cat find all of the numbers of the fixtures? That depends on if those fixtures are RDM enabled and send that RDM response back. You usually can find whether it is RDM enabled in the fixtures manual, but if they do not have RDM, they would not be able to report their addresses back. Let's see, does RadioScan work with other systems besides Multiverse? Yeah, anything that is operating at 2.4 gigahertz or 900 megahertz, it will be helpful with setting that up. So it could be Wi-Fi at your home or your office, or any other devices in that spectrum. Does my wireless DMX system need to be able to use RDM for me to use the DMX-Cat? No, you can use the DMX-Cat, like I said, with any device that takes DMX, but if it doesn't have RDM, you won't get to use those RDM features. Oh, this is a good one. Will the radio scan automatically change the settings in my multiverse transmitter and receiver? I wish it did. That would be great. It'd be very nice. But no, it will not. You will need to make those either through the interface if it has a screen, or RDM. Got time for one more here. If we didn't get to yours, we will email you about it. But this last one here, can I use DMX-Cat to check a whole truss of moving lights at the same time? Yes. So you are able to plug in your DMX-Cat and see anything that's downline of it, and you can also control all of them. We have a multi-fixture control function, so you can select them all, and even if they're not common, maybe they have, even if not the same fixture, but they have common parameters like pan and tilt, you can make them all pan, tilt, dim, zoom, whatever they have, whatever common parameters they have. Another cool thing is that multi-fixture function also works in RDM. So if you say maybe you had 25 wireless DMX receivers that you wanted to change the show ID on, instead of having to go one by one, you can select them all in the RDM screen, change the show ID, press enter, and it'll change them all in one fell swoop. But that's all that we have time for today. We've ran out. Thank you all for all of the great questions. As I said, if we didn't get to it, we will reach out by email. And I just want to thank everyone who has joined us today. This webinar and all of the webinars will be posted on our website and on YouTube. Goodbye and have a great day.